So this is just a very short How Science Works video about the scientific community, in particular peer review, and the idea of the development of theories in sort of modern science. So there are various starting points for this because it's really a cycle, but if we start from the sort of experimental report or data side of things, so imagining that an experiment's been done, that the group of scientists that have done it have written it up. And what generally tends to happen then is they submit it for publication or presentation. So that's either to a scientific journal or to be presented at a conference. And in particular for the journals, that submitted article then gets checked by experts in the field. There'll often be at least two experts who the journal employs to check the articles, who will also be sort of expert scientists. And they will then be in communication with the people who've written the report, sometimes anonymously to avoid these things being too much of an issue via the journal. And they'll give their thoughts on things that they think need to be clarified or possibly things that need to be altered. And then the people who've written the report will make those changes or discuss those changes and submit a new version of the article for publication. And that can go around more than once, that process. But once the expert's satisfied and everything is okay, then the article is published. So that's either a journal article or if it's been submitted to a conference proceeding. And this bit in the red box is really the bit that is the peer review process. There's often a lot of confusion about which bit is the peer review part, and that's the bit. The only part that's peer review really is the part where other experts are looking at the paper to see if it can be published properly. Obviously that's not the end of the process because then several things can happen. The point of publishing the journal article or going to a conference and presenting is that other scientists hear ideas. And then, of course, what they can try and do is to reproduce the original experiment or possibly extend the original experiment. And that's very valuable because, obviously, if you want your experimental data to be accepted, then it has to be reproducible. You can't just have you as the only group of experimenters who can do this experiment. It has to be possible for others to replicate what you've done. Of course, there's not just experimental scientists, there are also theoretical scientists as well, and they will discuss the interpretation of the data, because remember there are often multiple explanations for the same data, and they may come up with new theories to account for it. And then generally what tends to happen is they will publish their ideas or they will publish the results of their experiments, and the whole thing will continue round in a cycle. And that's what allows scientific ideas to develop. It's often quite a slow process because the experiments take a very long time to plan and to carry out, and people are sometimes reluctant to change their thinking about a particular aspect of their understanding of how something works. And it will take a large weight of evidence to do this. There are several examples in the course of this. The ideas of continental drift, vagueness theory eventually being accepted is one example. And the changes in the idea about the origin of the universe moving towards the Big Bang theory being accepted is another example. And this happens all the time in science, so it's important to understand the process and exactly what the peer review process is, because you could be asked to describe it.